Hello there, and welcome to Reach for Power, where we take a closer look at the power itself and the strategies to build it. I am your host, Monika Kruk, and in this episode, we will focus on networking. If you ask me, Monika, out of all the strategies that you discuss in your podcast, which one is the one that you would recommend trying no matter what? Then my choice would definitely fall on networking, for a very simple reason. On account of powerful results, pun intended, that it can bring in terms of building your organizational influence and paving path for your future successes. Let me share a few thoughts on how to make that particular experience not only more enjoyable if you happen to be more of an introvert, but also how to make it the most effective use of your time and how to see the biggest return on investment. One important opening hint would be to not fall into temptation to use copy-paste strategy, meaning preparing a simple template and distributing it across the board to the people with whom you would like to get connected. My advice would be approach each of your contacts in a different and tailor-made way. Why? Because the level of development of our relationships might actually differ. So as well might the preferences of your connections. In other words, using a tailor-made approach is the way. The core question to ask yourself whenever you are preparing this specific individualized communication is what's in it for them? In other words, you are getting in touch with somebody because you have certain agenda in place. Either you want to get access to the information that this person has, or maybe to get a possibility to use their network, or maybe to tap into hidden job market. The motivations might differ, of course. But then on the other end of the receiving line, there would be somebody asking why I should actually answer to your email or to your phone call or to your LinkedIn message, why I should waste my time on replying to you. And the sooner that your recipient is able to find the coherent answer to that specific question, the higher the chances that he or she will actually reply and get in touch with you. In order to prepare this tailor-made approach, I would advise actually sourcing the information available about the person in question. You might look at their social media profiles, you might search for any interviews or newspaper articles that they were the hero of, so to speak, and simply see what are the areas of interest of the given persona. What might catch their attention if you reach out to them? What will be this potential answer? What's in it to you? What I can bring to the relationship? What I have to offer on my end? Now, in order to get the conversation going, almost like the next step of approaching your networking exercise, there are some strategies for your potential consideration which are going beyond just asking for a person's time without giving any clear explanation for what reason the person should oblige. First of all, you might ask about less standard ideas, like the school recommendation, the course or book recommendation, especially if the person hinted that they've attended specific educational institution or read the specific book. That will be a brilliant point to start the conversation, to get it going, maybe to identify other common areas of interest, almost like to keep the conversation flowing. Another idea would be sharing comments, opinions, and of course flattery on the latest article, post or interview, or possibly a podcast that they have delivered. Maybe some thoughts that they've shared captured your attention. Be specific. Do not be afraid to quote what they said or to refer back to their specific opinion. That would not only signal that you paid attention, yet it would also indicate that you were genuinely interested in what they had to say. Another option is to leverage any common interests that you are already aware of, like clubs, associations, hobbies, social circles. Those are excellent conversation starters because they allow you to pivot in various directions depending on where the conversation will take you. Another point to consider is inviting them as guest speaker to talk to your team. Maybe making them an honorary guest at your next corporate town hall or next official gathering. How about organizing a webinar or podcast where they would be able to share their experiences and their thoughts? Another way to get over this hurdle of initial introduction is to ask your friend to make it for you. This strategy may be very helpful, especially with the high profile individuals, the ones who are extremely time constrained and access to whom might be supervised or limited. As you see, a lot of information gathering and analyzing comes into play when you do networking in a strategic and deliberate way. Point number 3 might be to help yourself keep on track by creating a simple table or simple tracking tool that will allow you to see who, how, when, and why you either already approached or plan to approach, together with the reflection, what were the specific results, what was the reaction, and what are the potential next steps. That particular tracking might not only help you to see the progress and therefore get inspired by it, but will also showcase which strategies in your specific case work the best for you and your network. Because guess what? I am offering you certain inspiration and certain ideas to try, but the truth is you are the one knowing your specific context, requirements of your specific network and its characteristics. I'm throwing a spaghetti at the wall, so to speak, and you are the one to see which elements will stick. So which elements will fit your profile, your characteristics, your personal style, your communication flow, and which one of them would resonate with your specific audience. Another point on my list to mention in terms of building your strategic networking exercise is to make sure that apart from people whom are on the same level in terms of organizational hierarchy as you are also paying attention to those who are already in power. In other words, power personas, because those will be the people who can really help you to move upwards. This is not to say that getting in touch with your peers or more junior colleagues will not have its benefits. Of course it will. But the important point is to keep balance in the efforts that you're planning going forward. Best idea is to kind of spread yourself equally in all the dimensions, meaning addressing not only those who are, for example, reporting to you, those who are at the same level, but specifically also those who already reached the high places where you are aspiring to be. Yet another dimension to consider is also to make sure that you are not focusing on your current organization alone. Why? Because it automatically limits the sort of information that you will have access through networking or sort of opportunities that you are going to see, because those people in effect might have similar scope of data available to them as you do by the fact that you work for the same employer. So thinking one step ahead in terms of building your external branding and your external opportunities, it is extremely important to keep that in mind also when constructing your networking efforts, making sure that they go beyond your current organization, beyond your current social circle, and you are effectively expanding beyond your comfort zone as well. I often hear from my students and coaches that networking can be a bit of a daunting process because many of you are actually afraid to hear no as an answer, or equally afraid of hearing no answer whatsoever, so being ghosted. The advice I would give here is that almost like we need to get over ourselves in the process. Many people will be willing to help, and you will see that looking at your own results and tracking your own results. They will be ready either to help directly through meeting with you, spending some time together, advising, becoming your mentor, or indirectly, for example, through endorsing your work, introducing you to somebody else, or giving you a broader visibility, and you will clearly benefit from all this. But there is also those who, for whatever reason, often completely unrelated with you, are not able to either reply or help in this specific moment. It's not about you. It's just about the circumstances. However, the key element to remember here Actually, similar to flattery, which we already discussed in one of our previous episodes of this podcast, is asking yourself what is actually the risk of that particular activity or trying this particular power strategy. Worst thing that can happen is that you will hear no. How would it make you worse off versus your current situation? On the other hand, in the best case, you will hear yes and benefit from new perspectives, resources, and visibility. If you do not ask or do not reach out, the outcome will always be the equivalent to no. So to sum up and reiterate on this specific point, keep in mind not to take silence or refusal personally. Those might stem from a variety of circumstances of which you are not aware of and which might have absolutely nothing to do with you, like personal or professional issues, illness, holidays, travel, and whatnot. It is to be expected that in broad pool of connections, you might get some half-hearted reactions at times. Key element is to notice that even if, for example, 2 out of 10 were negative, 8 were positive, which is still putting you far ahead of those who haven't done anything in that direction. I can also offer my personal example. I was battling exactly the same insecurities when I was starting my work on my PhD thesis. I had multitude of different ideas, different assumptions and different hypotheses I wanted to test, and also quite a substantial list of people with at least 10 names on that list that I really wanted to consult with in order to hear different perspectives. Considering that the people whom I had on the list were of extremely high profile, I was hesitant. I was second-guessing myself, and I was actually procrastinating when starting that particular step of my PhD work. But then I almost decided to take my own medicine and said to myself, my dear, listen, if you do not ask, the answer will always be no. So you better shape up and actually send that email. Guess what? Out of 10 names that I requested for 15 minutes of their precious time, 9 of them actually replied with a positive return message and actually scheduled a session with me within the next 2 weeks. And the results were actually absolutely astonishing. They surpassed far and beyond what I was expecting from those interactions. Not only they undermined certain beliefs that I had in terms of the material that I should be working on, not only they added completely new ways of looking at different assumptions that I had, but they also prevented me from committing major academical mistakes. So net, the outcome of the activity, which it in itself did not take that much time, was massive. It helped me to avoid certain methodological mistakes in terms of preparing my study. It helped me to expand exponentially the literature list that I was working on. It also helped me to identify completely new and extremely exciting avenues of the research. So net, probably one of the best investments of my time in a long time. Let me offer as a closing remark certain questions that you might be asking yourself when preparing your next stage of your networking campaign, both to get you inspired but also to add more depth to the exercise. Let me throw those ideas at you. First of all, how can you get your new connection to commit to a small favor? Maybe a recurring meeting or a regular coffee catch-up. Maybe recommending you to somebody from their circle. How can you keep in touch without over-investing in logistics? In other words, scheduling a session which will, for example, have a recurring character. Another dimension is how you can explore your weak ties. So people with whom you have worked or studied in the past, whom you know and who will most likely recognize you when you write to them, but with whom you have not been keeping in regular touch. Maybe some of them landed in powerful position. How can you reconnect? Maybe through common interests, friends, social circles, hobbies, maybe your school anniversaries. Another point is how your position within your network looks like. Can you move to more central position? Do you have something to offer to your network that they would be interested in? Maybe is it a possibility for you to connect people who share similar interests or goals or major vision or common goal? how can you leverage that vision to unify a group? These positions not only will give you additional leverage, yet they also instill much more power than the network outer layers have. Another point, as you already noticed, networking will actually take a lot of time if it's done right. Question, how can you automate your networking activities in sense of regular reminders or news feeds? What apps, techniques, or strategies can you use here? Those might differ. For some, it will be a post-it note that will do the trick. For some, it will be an elaborate Excel tracking. For others, it will be dedicated apps that actually allow you to trace your progress. And last but not least, how can you combine in a healthy way your private and work life to go deeper for bonding experience? Maybe join the same sport clubs as your connections, like tennis, golf, or squash. Invite your connections for working lunch or office outing. As you see, the options are actually numerous, but from philosophical point of view, what it boils down to is, first of all, be specific, meticulous, and strategic in terms of planning your efforts because, as you might have noted by now, it will take a lot of time. So, to make it time well spent, make sure you strategize how you are going to use it. Secondly, make it about them, about their needs, and what's in it for them, because this is the only sure way that you will catch their interest and actually will see that reply in your inbox. Be versatile, meaning not focus only on those who are easy to reach, who are already in your social cycle, but by all means expand. Get out of your comfort zone. Try to contact those superstars that you always wanted to talk to but never had the courage. Maybe you have inspiring individuals whom you want to get closer to. This is the great way to do that. However, the ultimate secret of successful networking is that at the end of the day, it will truly work and you would truly benefit from it if you remember that at the bottom of it all is a genuine relationship with another human being. If you will bring to the table positive emotions, valid agenda, interesting points, shared interests, common goals, then actually what you are striving for, it's not just one-off networking contact, but the dialogue that will continue over months or possibly through the years, and who knows, maybe through networking, you will meet your next best friend. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe to have regular access to the newly published content. You are also welcome to check Reach for Power webpage at reachforpower.com for more materials and share your thoughts and comments through LinkedIn with me. Thank you for joining me today and keep reaching for power.